Guys, you won't believe this. Rufai Oseni is showering praises on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to him, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu achieved a historic feat that his predecessor could not achieve. And this has to do with the Malabu Oil Scandal and the OPL 245. He also talks about other issues ranging from politics and the one between Wike and Fugbara that the president just intervened and they settled, and the impeachment overnight from the River State House of Assembly suddenly disappear. Guys, you need to watch this video so that you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. Kindly like this video and subscribe to my channel.
This morning, I'd like to say kudos to President Tinubu. And kudos because of many reasons. Number one, we remember the infamous, I should call it now, Malabu scandal and the OPL 245. I mean, and we also remember the role some civil society played and how they tried to rope Mohammed Adoke into it. In fact, he wrote a book. He invited me for his book launch as regards, and I got a copy of that book where he talked about the intricacies. And kudos to President Tinubu because he did what other presidents failed to do. If you read that book further, you will see that Adoke had given some advisory to the then president when this matter was brought in front of him. But the advice, I don't know what happened to it. Only God knows what happened to it. The case was not solved. And it went on with international litigations and all of that transpired. And the court in Italy, the courts in the UK, and all of everything couldn't solve the problem until President Tinubu solved the problem. But it's also a reminder of how we kill things in our country. Because when you look at the over 1 billion paid, you look at the time value of money, what Eni and what is it called, and Shell paid for that as at over 10 years ago. Yeah. When you look at the time value of money, God knows what will have happened. Yes, this is going to add to the Zabazaba field, Zabazaba Eton field, about 150,000 per barrel. But don't forget that these oil majors will now have to go back and look and now make an FID, a final investment decision, which is going to take a couple of years. So
It started about up to 8 years.
Oh, yeah, so it's going to take a couple of years. That will not add any 150,000 barrels to our production now. That will not be able to help us buffer as regards Iran and what is happening in the Middle East now. It's still going to take a while. In 8 years from now, what will be the viability of oil? That should be what we'll ask. You know, because when you look at the oil sector, the move away from oil sector and all of that, the pivot is another challenge. Will it be as exciting as that as it is now, as at then? That's another one. But kudos to President Tinubu all the same. It just shows when corruption stifles things, how it destroys the prospect of growth in the country. And that's why I'm saying kudos, 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 kudos. You can count the number of kudos I've said to President Tinubu this morning, because when you do something well, you say it. And I'm saying it. It doesn't mean when he doesn't do something well, I will not still slap him. As regards Dauda, yes, very interesting political intricacy you've just put forward. But the implosion that might probably happen in the APC is when even the convention and the primary starts and the interests. So yes, President Tinubu and his cohorts might have been able to buffer against people openly leaving the party. But can he also assure himself that these people will not work in concert with the opposition? Because when they can't get their way, definitely there might be spoilers. Because for the life of me, somebody like Matawale that can't stand Governor Dauda will have to align with him because they're in the same party. There's going to be a lot of intricacies. Anyway, they say it's a report by sources. Governor Dauda, they've not still heard from him. Yes, he's been talking to a couple of other people. We know because the PDP is in dire straits as we see today. But look at the case of Benue. Look at the Akume case and the governor's case. Look at even other parts where they have their congresses and the brouhaha that ensued. So is President Tinubu in his master strategy mode? Because as it is on paper today, yes, with this electoral law that he was able to pass, and that's why he was quick to sign it. Where people were looking at, electronic transmission, he was looking at other things. That's why he was quick to sign it. Yes, he's been able to lock out some angles. In fact, he's been able to lock out the possibility of the emergence. Because with what he's done, even in the ADC, anybody who emerges, be it Obi, be it Atiku, the other person will not see a party to go to. So you don't have the robustness of opposition. And that's why opposition must be able to come together. So everything will not be a case of we die here in the primaries. And I also have some interesting information that says that he's also be able to lock out the possibility in other political party. Vimbai, let me excite you with some exciting information. The Supreme Court had ruled nullifying the Abure faction in the Labour Party all this while. But INEC did not make a recognition of it. They did not use one faction. Why was it that it was when Peter Obi left the Labour Party, days after INEC made the recognition? Look at the case of the PDP also. The PDP has been broken to a certain point. So will President Tinubu be able to hedge against, because what he has now done by isolating the spread of opposition is that opposition will now be forced to work together. Be it those disgruntled in the APC, that they cannot live here, they will openly fly the APC banner, but they will have to work whatever they want to work in the opposition. As regards the NNPC case, I mean, it speaks volumes about Nigeria. 5 billion in branding. Probably when you call them, they will say they used to do an event, they did all sorts, they did.
No, there was an event.
What was the need for the event in the first place? Because the practicality of what they did. What was it? So we major in minor. It's just like this same government that spent over 150 million on a women empowerment event on healthcare, but they spent 36 million on the actual capex for the healthcare. So we major in minor. And they must be called to come and account for the 210 trillion. As regards the governor, they're about to push her. I mean, we all know it's because he decided not to
Deputy
follow.
Governor
Deputy Governor. Guazo decided not to follow his, what's he called? His, Abba Yusuf, the governor. And that's why all of this is happening to him. So it's so sad. Also, that's why we need to put buffers in our constitution against how people use this impeachment. Till today now, because Fubara and Wiki have settled their matter, all of a sudden, impeachment is done. So the lies and the merry-go-round they were telling us in Rivers, that he did this, he did that. So if Fubara didn't do those things again, Abi, that's why the day you were saying, let's investigate. I said, this is a joke. These politicians are a joke. I mean, we'll see through them. Are you on the floor?
All right, yeah, I think just a statement on the Kano incident. Unfortunately, what the lessons that we've learned from the River State incident with the push or the move to impeach the governor, that once the president stepped into it, all the lists of his atrocities all of a sudden disappeared into thin air, and he was, good as new. It's the same thing we talk about when processes are abused for political reasons. I recall that initially the governor had been praised for still able to work with the deputy despite him refusing to, let me use the word, pot with him or defect with him to the APC and remain in the Kwankwasia movement, the NNPP. And now they have now decided that he's not fit for purpose anymore and discovered that a number of charges brought before him. My prediction is that he'll probably be impeached, except he decides to rethink his political strategy and move with the governor to the APC. And this is the kind of politics that we see in Nigeria today. Going on to the defection by Serake Dixon to the newly registered NDC, we had announced that 2 new parties were registered by the APC, by INEC. And we've been talking about the fact that a number of parties had come to say that their own parties were not registered because of certain reasons. But what this does is that it will weaken the opposition's chances, because there seems to be a lot more division than unity amongst the opposition parties, and they have the challenge of time. We have just a few months, 9.5 months to election time, end of January. And yet we have opposition party members who are just coming on board, parties that are newly registered. So in terms of the work, at best, maybe he alone would win on that platform. We have opposition parties that he himself, Serake Dixon, has described as being in coma, needing emergency resuscitation. That is the PDP. We have opposition parties who are dealing or battling with internal conflicts such that they are not able to face the actual job of opposition and actually prepare for the 2027 elections. We have opposition parties that are talking about the e-registration of their members and not having enough time before the April deadline for primaries to be held by these parties. More and more, it is clear to see that the APC is being given almost a cost-free ride to elections 2027. If the opposition parties do not get their acts together, then it would be the APC that would benefit from these factions, new parties, disagreement, not aligning. The meeting or the press conference held by IPAC yesterday saying that we're going to, stay away, abstain from the elections in 2027 further pushes the agenda of the APC. And this is what we have been calling for on this table for a very long time. Opposition parties get their acts together, find a way to work together if indeed the interest of Nigeria is paramount when it comes to their formation. But what it looks like as we speak presently, pragmatically, is that the APC continues to have the upper hand ahead of 2026. What we have also consistently maintained on this table is that for democracy to thrive in Nigeria and in any country of the world, it is important to have a variety of parties, a vibrant opposition, for people to be able to make the best choice that is, that aligns with their ideology and what they deem fit for Nigeria's political future. However, it seems like the Nigerian people will be denied this opportunity just because the opposition parties have been unable to get their acts together. And that's quite sad.
That was a nice one from Rufai Oseni. And kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for doing something remarkable and historic that his predecessor failed to do. In case you have forgotten about the Malabu Oil Scandal and the OPL 245, stay with me and let me give you a heads up. The Malabu Oil Scandal involves the 2011 corrupt transfer of Nigeria oil block OPL 245, value at over $15 billion from Malabu Oil and Gas to Shell and Eni for $1.3 billion. Investigations allege that $1 billion was diverted as a bribe to Nigeria officers and middlemen rather than be paid to government account. This deed involving Malabu Oil and Gas was linked to former Petroleum Minister Dan Etete, Eni and Shell, leading to years of international trials and corruption allegations. Guys, just imagine the level of corruption in the oil and gas. Something valued at $15 billion was sold or probably was transferred at $1.3 billion. And the worst part of it is that out of that $1.3 billion, one was allegedly transferred to middlemen and Nigeria officers as bribe. This is really terrible. Well, only God will save this country from the level of corruption being perpetrated by government officials and Nigeria themselves. So guys, what is your take on that? Whatever your thought is, kindly drop them in the comment box. In Nigeria politics, the more you look, the less you see. Because I don't seem to understand. In Nigeria politics, the more you look, the less you see. Because I don't seem to understand the kind of game they are playing. Just look at Wike and Fubara before their issues were resolved. The Rivers State House of Assembly wanted to impeach the governor for gross misconduct. But when the issue was resolved, the same House of Assembly that were accusing the governor of gross misconduct has gone mute. Those sins they accuse him of committing is like he has been washed off of all those sins. And the same thing seems to be playing out in Kano State. Although there is a big difference because the deputy governor failed to defer to APC just like his principal. And the Kano State House of Assembly want to impeach the deputy governor. Maybe they will come up with gross misconduct or whatsoever. Only God knows. The Nigeria political system is somehow, and it is something that the more you look, the less you see. So guys, what are your reaction? What do you think about this whole scenario that just played out? Whatever your thought is, kindly drop them in the comment box. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that whenever we drop a new video, you will be the first to be notified. Thank you for watching. God bless you.